Hi, Brett Ralston. How you doing?
Hello, Scott Nell. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. First thing I wanted to say was that Alan Taylor sucks. So I just wanted to put that out there right now,
Agreed.
and I wanted to announce it to the world. Can you imagine if this is the only one that Alan watches? Is this one? And he goes, "What? What did he just say?" Yeah.
Love you,
Fortunately,
Alan.
yeah. Go ahead.
I said, love you, Alan.
Yeah. Fortunately, Alan knows how much I care for him and how I think he's freaking awesome, and I think he's a rock star. So it all works out pretty well that we can do that. So talk to us. You're an estate planning and trust attorney,
That's right.
and you have a little bit more, what should I say, color and fun to your personality the most, which I
Yeah.
really appreciate about you. And so it's got to be, So, but tell us, like, what makes you tick? What made you get into, into what you're doing, and what keeps you excited?
Yeah. So, it's very interesting. I got onboarded. I was previously a civil litigator. I've been practicing law for 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
I had background in defending real estate agents on policy, as panel counsel on policies for, and then also one for a large brokerage based in the Valley.
Mm-hmm.
And so I picked up some real estate experience through that. Also had debtor creditor rights experience, and there's a lot of crossover issues that come
Mm-hmm.
in with litigation then that comes into matters for trusts and estates, things in real estate, things that involved creditors' rights, especially in probate or
Mm-hmm.
in trust administrations, and then the litigation that comes out from that. So they at RNA or Rodnowski and Associates picked me up almost about 5 years ago, and
Mm-hmm.
so I picked up that crossover experience in those areas, and it's been phenomenal. I love it. It's all the issues, the cerebral things that you would think would come up. A lot of attorneys who are not familiar with our area think, okay, oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's just wills and trust. You come in, you write a will in the trust, and you go on vacation. So it's probably one of the most cerebral, in-depth areas of the law because the probate code is that big. One
Uh-huh.
and two, we
Good
have
luck.
yeah, a very good read,
Mm-hmm.
and we have crossover issues from involve family law, involve real estate, involve um, a whole myriad of others, and we just go look at everything from a surgical perspective, and it's not just a one-stop shop that we have now. Yeah, it's definitely one of those areas that you think, oh well, how do you make something colorful and fun about death and taxes? Uh,
Yeah, how do you do that, Brett?
how do we do that? Well, we try to keep things. We're not, at our office, we're not, like stuffy stuff shirt lawyers. You come in, you feel
Mm-hmm.
intimidated. We try to make people feel, at home, as much as at home because they're going through a really tough time in their life.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, if they're grieving or they're in an administration aspect, but other times, trying to say, hey, you know what, you should plan for the ultimate demise, or if you ever become incapacitated. So having that conversation can be a little difficult. So we try to keep things, a lot of our offices have a lot of color in them, or we're different themes, like PR, our principal attorney here is known as the Candy Man. He's got a bunch of candy in his office. Myself, I enjoy games. I have board games in my office, and clients can come in and feel a little more comfortable, especially with that young children. Things that don't feel as intimidated by
Uh-huh.
a suit and a tie over here. And it makes it a little easier for when we have to get into some of those really difficult issues that we have to really start to grind down in, and talk about some of the more difficult things.
Well, I like that approach, and I like that you found your sweet spot and
Oh
that you're
yeah,
so excited about it. I think it's freaking
absolutely.
awesome. The When I first started networking, it was interesting because the way I did things the first year or so, I really didn't get much business unless it was someone who knew me already. And I realized I'm trying to be someone I'm not. And
Right.
so I started dressing the way I wanted to dress, nice casual, I didn't get a fancy car. I just thought I'm just going to be the best agent I can be. I'm going to act as a fiduciary. I'll treat people the way I want to be treated, and really freaking give a damn about them. And I started just focusing on I'm just going to be me. All of a sudden, it's like, wow, when you're just yourself and authentic, it really works itself out.
It really does. And I mean, it's when you're authentic and when you're not sort of this rigid professional, or you're not walking in salesy, you're walking in trying to really, push, someone to take a particular service or a product and being like, hey, I know what this issue is. Let me help you out. And when you take
Right.
that approach, especially with clients or those that you're representing in transactions, they know and understand being like, hey, you've seen my situation before, and you know that I can get you from point A to point B in a smooth as possible transition, or knowing the risks and outcomes before we get into things, so you make an informed decision. And we make sure that we have the breadth of information that we can have out there for especially our clients, but also especially in some of those more difficult scenarios, as opposed to just transferring of wealth, but more of some of the more contentious matters that we may pick up along the way.
So, do you have so it's mostly planning? Do you do any litigation?
I do. I would say, planning is maybe between 15 to 20% of what
Correct.
I do.
Okay.
So we have about 26 attorneys on staff now. We all do basic sort of planning for families and those who haven't really been educated on that. We'll go ahead and teach them and also get them into a basic estate plan if their financial advisor, their accountant, or their realtor is trying to explain to them, being like, hey, it's like an insurance policy. This is something you really need to do. And so that's about 20% of what I do. I would say about 40% is probate administration and trust administration. So those who have didn't really do any planning, or only maybe just had a will in place, will enter in the probate process and make sure that it's as inexpensive and as smooth as possible to probate that will, or if it's a testacy, go through that. And we'll also handle administrations of trusts. A lot of the estate plans that RNA put together over the past 20 years, we're starting to see a lot of those former clients pass on, and their children or fiduciaries are now stepping in to administer those trusts, and having the right guidance in place for that is what we do along the way. And if they've already had their plan, and I tell a lot of clients whose parents put trusts together and properly funded them and had the right guidance along the way, that they have saved tens of thousands of dollars. And at my first meeting, I'll sit down with them and I'll throw the paperwork down. I'll say, see this right here, you just saved 4 to 6 months in probate court.
Oh my gosh.
Just right here, this meeting.
Right
here. And so,
I want to double my fees.
It would, it should double it, but that's what it is. If it's probate, then it's going to cost tens of thousands of dollars more, depending on, of course, the size of the estate, and then the length of time. If we're going at lightning speed, 9 to 12 months. So at that point, if it's a probate, we make sure that we're able to get to an end point. And the rest, about the other 40%, is trust and estate litigation, some civil litigation if there's crossover, and it's generally trust contests, will contests, or disputes involving an estate. Generally, anything you can get into probate court that will have sort of a dispute in place. I've carried over my civil litigation experience into that world, and we do have a lot of now that we've seen the largest transfer of wealth coming into place here, and the issues that we have with either poor planning or lack of planning kind of make its appearance here in the last 10 years, and it's going to keep on coming.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because in my business, there are so many times I go and I meet people and they're bright people, they run businesses and everything, and you have no idea how unprepared they are. Or I'll walk in and I'll see, here's dad who needs to go to assisted living, and here's daughters, and they say, we want to sell. I said, okay. So, talk to me about your estate planning attorney and your trust. Are you talking to a CPA? Are you talking to a financial planner? But do you have your ducks in a row? And they're like, well, why? We're just going to sell the house. I'm going to take the money. And I'm like, okay, slow down, slow down. We don't want to do that. You got to talk to somebody, and especially since, let's say the wife, let's say, she's incapacitated. I'm going, well, how is that being handled right now? And by the end of the conversation, it's like, we need to just stop talking about selling for now and to find out who you need to meet so that you can have all the information and see if, do you sell right now or no, or do you wait? Do we get you an assisted living? We rent it out for a couple of years. We just need to have all our ducks in a row, because it could be several $100,000 difference in this one decision. And it's always really nice when it's 6 months later, the house that I was going to list 6 months ago, and now I'm meeting with them again. And we've sold the house because they've gone through and they've done everything they were supposed to do. And they're in the point of tears. And it's just so sweet, because you go, just treat them right. Don't just come in there and think about the deal, but think about how these people need to be treated. And so that's one of my favorite parts about business.
Yeah, and and for someone like you, when you step into that, and they know in that transaction, they say Scott Nell Equity Union, they really took care of me and really made me understand. They weren't being pushed. They weren't being. It's like, hey, let's look at everything that we have here to make sure that
Right.
you actually make the decision. And that's, you and I both have that as sort of this fiduciary responsibility.
Correct.
Is that, hey, are you going to make the right decision out of this, as opposed to let's push this and make a quick buck? That's not what we do. And we want to make sure that everyone has the right plan in place, whatever it is. And you brought up a good point, is, have you met with a financial advisor? Especially, if you, a lot of those who maybe, don't know what to do with their cash. They have a lot of real estate. What do I do with this? Those who are, and sometimes they just use standard tax preparers. So you got to meet with a CPA. You've got a lot here you got to work with, and then the estate plan, what I call the trifecta, right?
Exactly.
And having us in there, and of course, in between there, we'll have. We have to bring in other lawyers or realtors, come to play to complement some of the things we do. If we have that in a row to really do that set of financial planning and estate planning in place, it's going to make things not only more comfortable for the person who puts it together, but also for the family members. And I explain also that an estate plan is not just, we don't just draft trusts here, we put together an estate plan. And with that estate plan, especially if putting down your instructions for how you would want to dispose of your assets upon your passing, but also what happens, as you mentioned earlier, if you're incapacitated, what do you do? Does somebody take over your finances? Well, what's in trust? Do I have a power of attorney? Do I have someone there to make medical decisions? They have access to my records. Do I have a living will? These are big decisions we make, but of course, go through the guidance and make sure that you have everything in the right place, so that we don't have real estate hell raining down.
It's very true. It's the best money you can spend. And my wife and I just updated ours recently, and it was great to go through it, because I'm going like, gosh, I had forgotten about this and this and this, and now there's new items. And then of course we have a daughter that we adopted, and we're looking at and going like, now how is it going to happen? Like we have a lot. We have kids from 17 years old all the way to 42. It's like, what do you do? And so it was really interesting. But at the end of it, I was very pleased that my wife and I kind of were aligned. Not kind of, we were aligned. And if we disagreed, we just talked about it and go, well, why are you thinking this? Okay, well, my concern is this, because he's 42. Maybe he should just get everything up front. But of course, a 17-year-old shouldn't. And at the end, and then we were just walked through it. And the best money was spent. It was great. And then, another place I think that where you're very valuable. It's funny, we're having this conversation. We're 14 minutes in, not one freaking story yet. But is the administration part of it, because something happens, someone to guide you through it, to keep you from not making that one decision that is a game changer. And I mean, that's where, to me, like, you're unbelievably valuable. I mean, through the whole process, but especially once it needs to be implemented. These trustees don't know what they're doing. Most of them don't. And a lot of people don't have a guy like you. And man, if they had a guy like you, go, wait, slow down.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. I tend to come in at if there are these kinds of issues that are being litigated, I come in, realizing that hey, there was no planning here, or if there was planning, it's old planning or hasn't been updated recently. We have a lot of issues, and I'll kind of go into a couple. I'll go into a couple. Well, one of the things, the primary issues that I am seeing a lot of the times, they're coming problems, is what I call hacking title. Okay.
Okay.
It's when you're, let me put it this way. If you're in, see, you have your computer, right? You have an operating system. If you remember back in the day, there was, MS DOS, and you kind of go into the whole coding matrix,
Yep.
whatever, you go into that. And if you start messing with the coding, right, things aren't going to work right. Okay. And I kind of equate that when it comes to title, right? And it's like, I will give a fractional piece here. I'm going to have, this family member, I have a cousin who, wants a piece of this property. I'm just going to throw it to them, a percentage of that. Someone's family member, just kind of trading percentages on these properties. Well, not realizing that it's not going to have a great result out of that if it's not properly planned with an attorney to make sure that, hey, this could be a real problem down the road, especially if there's no estate plan. And one of the, I've had a couple problems with this. One of which was a family that had done fractional interests to different family members, and the family members, of course, unfortunately, had no planning, and so those percentages actually had to go through probate. Not one, but two probate matters that we had to go through. Now, the rules had changed a little bit in terms of what can be done, but it's back when I had to handle this probate. It took a while to get through not just one, but two probates for those family members, and it took a long time. There was a lot of hurdles that we had to get through. But like I tell all clients, no matter how long probate's going to be, there's going to be a landing point. Even if it takes a couple of years, there are always twists and turns in certain areas, and we can handle that. But we can get you through the end of the road. But it's going to take a while. There's some twists and turns. We got to go through the right sections in here and tell the judge, hey, this property needs to land here. We have to have a big family discussion about how we want to situate this property if you just want to have this particular problem. So hacking title is just not a good idea. A lot of people just don't know. It's like, oh, someone passes on. Well, what do we do? It looks like we're going to have to go through the probate process. Maybe not so much now, depending on the value of the property, but be that as it may, probate process is it's long, it's strenuous, and when you have multiple pieces in there,
it's stressful.
It's really tough, extremely stressful for the family members. And another thing, same thing, except there were no fractional interests in place. Family just didn't have a trust in place, and unfortunately, the people who were supposed to receive the property from this particular parent ended up passing away. And so I not only did I have to open one probate, I had to open a total of 3 probates just to get this one property to this person. And it's just so crucial to have that estate plan in place, right? Because when you get into fractional interests and splits in here, it's going to take years sometimes to get to that result. And it just is so incumbent. If you think, hey, I need health insurance, I need car insurance, you also need an estate plan, because these horror stories come up more and more.
Oh yeah. It's nuts. Hey, by the way, every time you hold up that book, it makes me think of the movie Rain Man, when Dustin Hoffman is. Remember when he's in the diner and she says her name and he goes, 94. He goes, what are you talking about, 94? He had memorized it. That's you. You're like Brett Ralston, Rain Man.
Well, I still got a lot. There's about 20,000 code sections here. I'm still working on it.
I believe in you. So tell us a horror story that you've gone through. Something that, like, holy crap. It could be something that happened as an absolute disaster. It could be something where you saved the day. So whatever you want to share.
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of one of the issues, and this is becoming more and more, is couples that actually buy property together as part of a second, third, fourth marriage, and they don't have an estate plan in place, but they buy the property before they're married.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had a few of these come up, and when they're blended families, it's an absolute nightmare because you are going to get into litigation at that point, almost
Mm-hmm.
always, especially with the children of the deceased spouse, because hey, I want to get a peace of mind, and if there's no planning in there, it's going to be a fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had a couple of these come up, and every single time, because there was no planning in place or there was improper planning that was in place, you're going to have these problems, especially whenever somebody, when it's what happens is just, hey, they were boyfriend, girlfriend at the time, they pooled their money, they wanted to purchase a house together, and then they get married, and then title just stays the same. And generally, it's in a tenant in common interest because, hey, if we're going to get married, we want to keep it sort of separate. But then after they're married, it's kind of think, oh, we wanted to, I didn't think to put an estate plan together. And you don't really think about title to a property. And you deal with that as estate planning attorneys, probate attorneys all the time. How's property situated and how's the title situated? And if it is not consistent with what your intentions are as title reads, the law is going to prescribe something that's not necessarily what you want. And a lot of these times you having those surviving spouses having to give money to stepchildren or children that they don't, I didn't have a relationship with this person. Well, this person was out of state, or I maybe met them once at a family function. It's like now they're getting a really big chunk of the house that you put so much money into with the spouse. Now there's varying exceptions, and there's some formulaic remedies to getting to a better result with that. A lot of the times what we're dealing with, of course, is how do people inherit properties, or kind of what the modes and mechanisms are. And if there's no instruction in place that somebody left, the law is going to apply that for you. We have in our practice, we spend a lot, if not most of our time in probate court. Okay. And so the laws, as you saw from the textbook that I have here, is that how the law is prescribed in probate court will differ very much so from civil litigation, right? And we have a lot of crossover with civil litigators that come in to probate court, and the laws that are applied between civil and probate are very different. Remember, I used to do a lot of civil litigation work, and now fully in the trust and estate world. And when I get former fellow civil litigators in place here, and they say, well, title is situated as X, presumptively that, I win. And I say, no, not so fast. You're under the probate code now, buddy.
Yeah, not so fast, hotshot.
Yeah, not so fast, hotshot. So recently, I had and I think my name ended up on, or my name or Pierre's name ended up on I don't know if it was a social media board or Facebook board, but we ended up getting contacted. It's a case that was involving quiet title action that that had a probate context to it. There was a trust in place, and title as it was situated was not consistent with what the intention of the trustor had wanted. And the civil litigation is going on, and it seemed like it was going to be a loss. And finally, I get the call here, and I review the file and I say, we can help with this. I'm sorry this took too long to where it is, but a lot of civil litigators out there, I'm talking with, they just don't understand this area of law, which is understandable. It's not, we all have our playgrounds that we play in, right? We sandbox different toys.
It's like me trying to do commercial. It's like, I've got another person for you.
Exactly.
You don't want me.
Yeah, you don't want me for this one. This one, I'm going to send you down the hall for this. But and a lot of my civil litigator friends, they do the best they can, within the confidence that they have. But not everybody has the right answer. And then if we're talking about anything having to do with a trust or an estate in place here, the litigators will try and, there's certain roads and ways to get to a goal or try to defend on certain situations. And then, I say, look, there's another way here. And because there's that trust or that estate component here, we're talking about a different set of laws that we can play with here. And each back circumstance is different. But in this case, I'm contacted by a civil litigator saying, hey, is there anything we do to help? Look at the fact pattern. And I say, we can help. So we can step in and because it's a title issue and it involves a deceased party, different rules and different schemes. A lot of people don't know this, but that particular area, and we were able to help step in, and we're looking at a favorable result on that right now. But we were able to at least pump the brakes on a total loss.
The best money they ever could have spent is on Brett Ralston. The funny thing is that's not even a joke, because the money that they'll save, the stress, the time, especially after a loss. Let's say it's like a really heavy loss, and then now they're dealing with all this, going to court and dealing with maybe an argument that shouldn't have been an argument and things that weren't clear. That's why, I'm such a big fan of guys like you, Brett. I really am.
I appreciate that, Scott. Thank you.
So at this point, can you please tell us about a charity or a cause that is close to your heart?
Okay.
And if you don't have one, that's okay, because I can use mine.
But I have several here, because we do have several charities that we get to.
But wait, is there one in particular that stands out for you? And the reason I'm asking is because what we'd like to do is put a spotlight on a charity, and sure, so that people can, so if it's a few, it doesn't work as well. But if it's one in particular, you go, oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna see.
With me, it's always it's always the Scouts, because I've seen how that really affected my children's life in such a great way, and all three of them are going to be Eagles now. And what a game changer! What's that?
That's excellent. We got a couple Eagle Scouts on our staff here, and they just so happen to be my fellow litigators. So,
God, I'll hire them before you. I mean, what I mean to say is, no, but I love that for our kids. And then the other one, of course, is Mercy Childcare in Uganda. So, because it's close to our heart. And so mine are really, really easy. There's a lot of different charities and causes that I love, and I've heard about dozens and dozens on these episodes, and I just love it.
One of the charities that we've been involved in is MEND. That's MEND, and that's mendpoverty.org. And we went to an event for them, at a gala last year at the Cerebral Center, and they did a fantastic job for their charitable contributions to those who are less fortunate, and especially in the LA area, including getting help for families and seniors, and making sure they have access to food and medical care. And so we've given and shown up for them, and also another veterans organization I really love, the Wounded Warrior Project.
Oh yeah.
Wounded Warrior Project is something I've been following for a while. Really like what they're doing for veterans, especially those who are affected by post-traumatic stress, and how the difficulties are to treat that. And now that we're coming up with different ways to treat those illnesses and physical abnormalities that have happened with veterans been having. So that's another charity that I appreciate very much.
That's great. I don't think anyone's brought that one up. There's some that get we hear repeatedly, like the Jewish Home Guardians. I mean, there's a bunch that are really, just awesome, that people have such a passion for. And so, but thank you for bringing a light to that. Really appreciate it.